Did I get you? Did I get you? I know I got you. Don't act like I didn't. RIP headphone users. Hello guys and ghouls, and welcome back to another episode of Hendrix Halloween or Orion's Spooktober. I'm your gracious host, Orion Hendrix, and in today's episode, hey, Editor Orion's here. I am well aware that Halloween was 4 months ago. Did I film this video 4 months ago? Absolutely. Did I still put it up on the internet because I was proud of how it came out and I want you to see it and enjoy it and love it as much as I do? Of course. That being said, shut your face and enjoy the video. I'm just kidding. Love you. Enjoy. Mwah. We are going to be making a cake because baking is very fall, as we know. And while I'm baking, I'm going to be reading you guys a scary story. We got sugar, we got salt, baking powder, cocoa powder because it's gonna be a chocolate cake, baking powder. I got baking soda, I got baking. Wait, why did I do it with the baking powder, not the baking soda? We got flour to boot. We got our good old baking book because we don't do box cakes around here. Make everything from scratch, even though I am horrible at baking from scratch. Not horrible, but I'm not the best at making from scratch. And if you've ever seen me try to make pancakes from scratch, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't want you to have to witness that. The story that we're gonna read today, and mind you, I haven't read any of these stories, but I have two that are marked off in this book. The book is called All Hallows Eve, 13 Stories by Vivian Von Veld. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Let's get to it. Also, I don't know why I insist on wearing white while I bake, but it just is what it is. When I filmed the other portion of this video, I was wearing white. Now I'm wearing white again. I don't know why I insist on wearing white. Also, I made this apron. I know it's fire. You ain't even gotta tell me. You ain't gotta tell me. You can tell me in the comments, but like, yeah, you ain't gotta tell me. So I picked 4 stories out at random, but I was like, are we really gonna get through 4? No, we're not. I went down to 2, and it's either between I Want to Thank You or Edward Lost and Far From Home. We're gonna go with I Want to Thank You because that one just sounds a bit more ambiguous, a little bit more mysterious, because it's like you could thank someone for anything, literally anything. You could thank someone for punching you in the face, or you could thank someone for giving you $1 million. It's a wide spectrum. It starts off like this. Thank you. Thank you so much for letting me in your house. The townsfolk just seemed to suddenly go mad. It must be because it's All Hallows Eve. Oh, there, it referenced the book. You see, guys, you get it, guys? You see it? They reference the book. Yeah. There's no other reason for them to have decided I'm a witch and come after me. Ooh, getting right to it. Okay. I didn't do anything. Truly. Okay, that we got a problem already. When you said I didn't do anything, sure, fine. But you said truly, and then there's a period after it. It sounds like you're trying to convince me now. It's like that one toxic person you have in your life that's just like, I didn't do anything. I really didn't. It's just, and then they start off on what they did, and it's like, but I didn't do anything though. I'm a good girl. I always do what I'm told and never gossip about people or spread rumors. That's what they all say. Even I say that, and I don't mean that shit. I love me a little tea sometimes, you gotta, yeah. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. It was just a coincidence that Mistress Charity fell down the same stairs she'd just been chastising me for not cleaning properly. I have no powers. I have no evil in me. I would never do her harm. I would never do anyone harm. Just like you, I can see the kindness in your eyes. That's why you let me in when I came running away from them through the woods and found myself on your doorstep. I appreciate the protection you offered me when they banged on your front door and demanded you hand me over. Thank you for telling them you had never seen me. You're obviously as kind a man as you are rich. Oh, I see you have many fine things in your house. A man who surrounds himself with beauty must have a beautiful soul, and that's a good thing to know. The people who accuse me will be gone now. It's been hours and they must be far away now, searching elsewhere or come to their senses. I appreciate your hospitality. I appreciate your hiding me in this basement room where, even if they had forced themselves in, they would never have found me. I am in your debt for your saving me from them. I truly believe that this coffin you have down here is simply your way of looking ahead till the time. God grant many years from now when you die. I won't tell anyone. Now please, please, please let me go. Hold on, pause. Whoa, that's, no, cause like, what was that? Hold on. Run that back. I'm in your debt for your saving me from them. I truly believe that this coffin you have down here is simply your way of looking ahead till the time. God grant many years from now, when you die, I won't tell anyone. Now please, please, please let me go. Wait, is it like an actual coffin? Oh, wait. Oh my God. That was just the right amount of ambiguous that'll only keep me up for like one night. Holy shit. Is the coffin for her? Is it like an actual coffin or is it like a vampire coffin? I think it's like an actual, no, those are called caskets. It's a coffin, a vampire coffin. That means he must be a vampire and he let her in, but now he won't let her go. Oh my God, brother. Second story is Edward, lost and far from home. And the story starts like so. All Hallows Eve. You see, guys, you get it. It's the name of the story. It's the name of the book. All Hallows Eve. Well, the old man said. Edward, who had been rethatching, haven't heard the word Thatcher since like Thatcher Joe of like the early 2010s of YouTube. Oh my God, it's been so long. I forgot that was a word. I was about to read it and be like, is that even English? Roof of the cottage prickled and itched all over, and his hands were blistered from tossing pitchforks full of fresh bundles of straw onto the roof. When he said pitchforks, I was gonna be like, another witch story? We get it. We get it. Like, honestly, I feel like it's time to get some more mythical characters in the mix. Like, what about the vampires? What about the werewolves? The ogres? Shrek needs some time in the spotlight. The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Like, well, I don't know if the Hunchback of Notre Dame is so fictional as we think. Because some of these dudes out here. You know what? Nope, that's me. We're gonna just go. Onto the roof and then arranging them. He had just climbed down, finally finished with the task, and now he rested the pitchfork against the side of the cottage and gingerly opened and closed his fingers, knowing that as much as they hurt now, they would hurt worse tomorrow. Well, real. Just very real. I tried to give some comforting words or like offer like a sentiment of comfort, but honestly I don't have one. Yeah, sorry, it's just how it goes. And roofing is tough work. I don't know what to tell you, man. Yeah, he asked warily. The old man rarely spoke, and yet he had already called this information out once before, while Edward had been on the roof, because Edward had learned to read the old man's face. Despite the overlapping wrinkles and pits from smallpox and the leathery quality that comes from spending one's life outdoors, he caught the glitter of annoyance and almost ducked in time. The old man's fist caught Edward on the ear. God damn. All Hallows Eve, he shouted, as though Edward was hard of hearing. Edward wasn't hard of hearing, or at least he hadn't been before the old man had taken to cuffing him on the ear. I was about to say, yeah. You like, oh, are you deaf? Are you hard of hearing? Not recently, up until a couple moments ago. He did sometimes have trouble understanding the old man's peasant accent, which was made even more indistinguishable because the old man's teeth were rotten stubs. Damn. That his words whistled as well as stank. I feel so bad. But luckily, the old man rarely grunted more than 3 or 4 words at a time. All Hallows Eve, Edward shouted back to indicate he'd heard and understood. The old man swung again, and this time Edward was able to back out of his range. Witches, Sabbath, the old man said. Edward held his arms out helplessly. The old man gestured toward the pen where the 2 goats and the 3 sheep and the pig waited for their evening feeding. The old man must have been getting better at reading Edward's face too, or he had no confidence Edward had the wit to understand. He made an exaggerated gesture from the animals to the doorway of the cottage. Or, oh, indoors. He wanted the animals indoors, so the witches wouldn't get them. Well, okay, I was right. I called it before I called it. It's another witch story, guys. It's another witch story, guys. Shrek just gonna have to wait his turn. With the roof newly mended, the sink would be held in nicely. All right, Edward said. Then, because he wasn't sure the old man understood, and because he was afraid of the old man's fist, he said, yes, indoors, I understand. The old man walked away, shaking his head and muttering. Edward had no idea what he had said or done that the old man could have found fault with him. He worked from sunup to sundown, back-breaking labor, tending the fields and the animals and the house. His body was sore. His belly was never full. Dirt had ground so deeply under his nails and into the creases of his skin, he doubted he would ever come clean again. His clothes were rags, and since the old woman had died in the heat of summer, what old woman? Wait a minute. Had died in the heat of summer, fevered and coughing up a bloody flux. Yeesh. Edward had no idea where new clothes would come from. Oh, she must be like the seamstress or like the old man's wife, something like that. Thinking of the old woman, Edward's mind skittered to the past winter when his hands had gotten so red and raw from the cold. His skin had grown thin and cracked, and every moment brought pain. He had cried. He couldn't help himself, and the old man had kicked him for his noise. The old woman had given him a piece of raw wool from one of the sheep. Edward had looked at it helplessly, having no idea what he was supposed to do with it. He had assumed she wanted him to draw it out into thread the way she did. But the woman had taken it back into her own hands and rubbed it, not gently, onto his skin. He had jerked back in pain, but then his skin felt better. He realized there was something in the wool that soothed all those tiny wounds. It was the only bit of kindness he had experienced from either one of them. The old man was nailing the shutters closed against the witches, Edward supposed. The thought of witches made Edward shiver. The sun was low in the sky, the cloud tips touched by pink. It would be a cold night, and Edward guessed that he would probably be more grateful for the warmth of the animals indoor than he would be oppressed by their smell. But still, he didn't think he could survive another winter here, just him and the old man. He had thought of running away, but there was no place to run to. He had gone with the old couple to the town for the St. Bartholomew's Day. The St. Bartholomew's Day fair, and he had seen beggars there and realized he had it hard, but not so hard as they. He had seen a man with only one hand, a bloody rag wrapped around the stump, and another man with a brand on his cheek. For each of them, the old woman had turned to Edward and said, "Thief." I'm sorry, what time period is this? I'm so confused because St. Bartholomew's made me think like medieval times, but the beggars with the branding and the bloody hand, that made me think like 1920s Great Depression. So we're looking at like a couple of centuries here. I don't know where we're going or where we're at or where we've honestly been, if we're being honest. It was a warning, he guessed. It was her way of telling him he was lucky they had taken him in at all, of letting him know that if he left, now they feed him more or less and mended his clothes more or less and kept him alive more or less. He owed them, and they would have the right to come after him if he tried running away. Why did y'all take in this homeless man though? I don't get it. Like, obviously he's a beggar and apparently he's a thief according to the old woman, but like, why would you take in this old man? Like, what particular reason? Like, did y'all need help around like the little farm that y'all apparently live on? Like, hopefully this becomes clear, but let's do it. Maybe she wasn't saying that he was legally beholden to them. Maybe she was just reminding him that being the unless fool, where's the end? The old man had finished nailing the shutters closed, a job that was obviously too important to leave to Edward, who never seemed to do anything to the old man's satisfaction. Probably tomorrow he could be trusted to pull the nails out, and then he would have to hammer them straight so they could be used again for something else, since nails, even bent rusty nails, were too precious to be squandered. No doubt Edward would not hammer them out straight enough. Either that or he would spend too much time working on them. There would be something the old man would use as an excuse to strike Edward again. He folded the pitchfork to return it to its place, but the old man snatched it out of his hands, taking a good deal of Edward's blistered palm with it. God damn. It's Jesus Christ. The old man glared, challenging him to say or do anything. Almost 17, Edward thought. Surely I'm as quick and as strong as this old man. Okay, well shit. If you're young and agile, you better tell him blow for blow. These hands are for everybody and anybody. All ages, all sizes can get it. Edward thought that at last the day's chores were done, but then the old man handed him the bucket to bring in water from the rain barrel. Even though Edward had already fetched some earlier, apparently not enough. Not too many more days and there would be a film of ice on this water. Edward thought summer was hard with the work of pulling the plow by hand since the old man didn't have ox, and the sweat running into his eyes and the insects constantly biting, but hard as summer was. Winter would be much, much worse, with the numbing cold, with the food dwindling, just him and the old man in the tiny cottage. Edward brought the bucket to the door, which the old man had closed, another petty annoyance as Edward needed both his sore hands to carry the bucket. He tried to shoulder the door open, but it appeared to be stuck. He kicked the door to get the old man's attention. The cottage was one room, so it wasn't like he could get lost in there. But the old man didn't come to let him in. Edward had set the bucket down on the ground, causing twinges in both his back and his hands. He tried the door again, but it wouldn't budge. "Hey!" he yelled. Had the old man lost his wits and placed the beam into the latch, forgetting that he'd sent Edward outside? But still, the old man didn't come to the door, and Edward remembered the look that had passed between them. In spring, he had told himself he'd have the strength to keep the old man from bullying him and from taking his petty rages out on him. The old man had realized this too. Realized he had gotten all the compliant work he could out of Edward and now had locked him out. On All Hallows Eve, the witch's Sabbath. "Let me in!" Edward shouted. Smoke was coming from the chimney hole, and Edward could smell the soup they had at midday before being reheated. It was mostly turnips, but there'd been a carrot too. Carrot? Singular? Edward had grown fond of treats like carrots this past year. Treats? Plural? "Let me in for tonight," Edward called to the old man. "If you want me to leave tomorrow, I will." A little later, and the cake has finished baking. And before you ask, yes, I did try it. And yes, this John is good. Certified greatness right here. Don't mind the visual malfunction. Make the icing, and yes, it will be chocolate frosting. But before we start, I would just like to say, I almost lost my goddamn mind behind this vanilla. Like, it took me 10 years, 3 marriages, 5 kids, and 2 divorces before I found it. I found it in the nick of time because I was really about to crash out. For the majority of this portion, I am going to be bent down because I want you to see my face, not have my head cut off, and see what I'm doing. Because if you didn't realize, or if you couldn't put 2 and 2 together, I'm actually really tall, and these are the moments that just make me think, damn, I wish I was like 5'2". Like, it just feels like life would be so much easier in these moments. It really does. I've realized life at any height is a double-edged sword. It has its pros and cons. Since there's not really measurements on how to put like chocolate in it, so I'm just gonna put as much as I feel is right. Yeah, that'll do. And this is what it looks like with the chocolate added. I'm not gonna lie to you, something is tasting off about this frosting. Like, it tastes good, but there's an underlying something that's not right. When did this expire? Did this expire? watching this, I want you to tell me what this says. Tell me what that expiration date says. Because if my eyes are correct, that says 2016. It's almost 2025. Why do we still have this? Why am I still eating it? This can't be good. Can't be good. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out now. Yo, shit, Miss Ma'am. Okay. All right. Cut a piece and I put it in the microwave, warmed it up a little bit, because if you know me, you know that I always advocate for warm sweets. Warm pie, even though some people don't like warm fruit, warm cake, warm donuts, everything warm. Like, it just tastes better hot, and you're not gonna convince me otherwise. And try it. Okay, hold on. Yeah. That's okay. All right, and with all that being said, that is going to be the end of today's episode. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and give it a big old thumbs up and comment down below what else I should make. I've tried making vanilla cake, cookies, and chocolate cake, and the only thing that's turned out like wow amazing is the cookies. Like, comment, subscribe, and stick around for a while. I would love to have you here, and I know that you would enjoy yourself here over in my little corner of the internet. We have a lot of fun over here. I think I'm pretty funny, and I'm here every Sunday. Yeah. All right, but yeah. Woo!